Fever, many fans is still poking fingers at head coach Stephanie White for actually making the game not entertaining anymore, bro. This motion offense has to be addressed, and Stephanie White has to be held accountable because it's truly the offense that she's running, and it is not for Caitlin Clark at this point. Now, both Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White spoke to the media immediately.
What really went down behind the scenes? Caitlin Clark just dropped a shocking truth bomb about her health. And let's just say she didn't bite her tongue when it came to Stephanie White either. Was it subtle shade, cold, hard facts, or a little bit of both? All delivered with that signature Caitlin Clark fire. This wasn't your typical media moment. Nope. This was Caitlin completely unfiltered, and it left the entire WNBA stunned. Let's just say, jaws hit the floor. Grab your popcorn, because this one's wild.
I thought at times we could have played a little bit faster, and I think that's on me, like not conceding in that. We still got to play up tempo. We still got to play fast. But I mean, I thought for the most part we did a lot of stuff that coach wanted us to do, and you know, that wasn't why we lost.
I can't hold you, man. That kind of looked like she let that slip out, man. I don't know. But I mean, we all see it. When they play slow, it's just not a good team, man. They're not as good as we see that they could be, right? So they need to play fast, man. I think, you know, they don't necessarily look that good when they're playing half-court ball. Maybe taking something from the Valkyries, man. The Valkyries run, all right? They be running.
She doesn't just look tired, she looks drained, like her soul's been running on empty. Caitlin Clark is pushing forward on nothing but adrenaline, caffeine, and pure determination. Meanwhile, the WNBA keeps stacking obstacles in her path like it's some brutal obstacle course. Only this one's got clueless coaches and referees who seem blind on purpose. Forget the basketball court. This feels more like a battlefield, and Caitlin's out here dodging landmines just to survive.
The league needs to take care of Caitlin, not for special treatment purposes, but that's who everybody's there to see. Everybody wants to see Caitlin Clark play. And if you let other teams and other people beat the shit out of her, she's going to spend 2 weeks out injured. And your attendance is going to drop because people aren't going to get the chance to see her. And if you actually want to be paid the same as the NBA players, obviously not by actual dollar for dollar, but for revenue percentage, you need to protect her. You need her to be playing at her best and not be having the
She's been the face of hope, the symbol of growth, and the reason ticket sales are through the roof. But somewhere along the way, Caitlin Clark also became the referee's favorite punching bag, as if they mistook her for a crash test dummy. We're way past missed calls now. This feels more like a twisted experiment, like the officials are trying to figure out just how many illegal screens and blindside hits one player can take before completely breaking down.
Vegas Aces defeated the Indiana Fever 89-81. And this game was disappointing for many fans, not only for the fact that it seemed like the Fever had this one in the bag, but they kind of gave it away at the end of the game, but also because it seemed like there was something off with this Fever team. They didn't have the same energy and spark that we all know and love. So many fans are asking, what is going?
And let's be real, it's a mess. The whistles, they've become background noise that only seem to blow when she makes a move. It's like the official rulebook was rewritten by chaos itself, a choose-your-own bias guide where fairness doesn't stand a chance. If someone body checks Caitlin, it's play on, but if she so much as exhales near an opponent, boom, flagrant 2, and she's sitting 5 games.
I have figured out the solution to the Indiana Fever's problems. Hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. This is what we got to do. We got to put Caitlin Clark off ball. We need to run a motion offense. So when the defense takes away what Caitlin Clark does best, we have other players that can still perform. So when she does have bad games, we're not completely dead in the water. I think that is the best way to move forward with this Indiana Fever team.
What's happening on the court isn't just physical, it's borderline criminal. At this point, actual robberies involve less contact. You'd think some defenders are hiding brass knuckles under their wristbands with the way they're going at Caitlin Clark. And the league's response? Silence. Or worse, passive-aggressive Instagram stories pretending everything's sunshine and rainbows, while their biggest star gets body slammed into irrelevance. And Indiana? Whew. Emotionally draining doesn't even come close. The energy is off, the atmosphere is heavy, and the locker room feels like a haunted support group sponsored by Shattered Hopes and off-brand Gatorade. It's like Caitlyn walked into a franchise made entirely out of cheap IKEA furniture, wobbly, frustrating, and somehow impossible to put together. You'd think Indiana would roll out the red carpet for a once-in-a-generation player. Instead, they handed her a napkin and pointed toward a leaking pipe. She's trying to play 4D chess out there. Meanwhile, her teammates are stuck playing Hungry Hungry Hippos. The offense, no identity. The defense, non-existent. And head coach Christy Sides looks like she's drawing up plays with a magic marker on invisible paper. No strategy, no direction, just chaos. And not the fun kind.
First, talk about Caitlin Clark. So she struggled once again in this game. She was 7 for 20 from the field and 1 for 10 from 3, which puts her at 1 for 17 over the past few games. And if you're a fan of Caitlin Clark, you know that this is so unlike her. She is arguably the best shooter in the WNBA, and she is having a significant cold streak over the past 2 games. But her missing shots isn't actually what bothers me. The thing that bothered me most in the game yesterday was the one shot that she passed up. Now, she had been missing a few shots, and if you guys were on my live stream, I said the thing that she needs to do is to continue shooting. Shooters shoot. The only way to break a cold streak is to continue shooting.
Every time Caitlin Clark glances over at the bench, it's like staring into an empty void. Christy Sides stands there waving her arms like she's trying to place a coffee order at a drive-thru during an earthquake, while the game unravels right in front of her. This isn't coaching, it's performance art. One minute she's yelling push the tempo, the next she's preaching patience. And the players, they're stuck in a full-blown identity crisis at 100 miles an hour, trying to figure out what version of the game plan they're supposed to follow, if one even exists. And it's starting to show. Clark's game, once sharp, fast, and fearless, now looks like it's stuck on a laggy live stream. Her passes are a step slow, her instincts fading. She's second-guessing moves she used to make with swagger and instinct. And honestly, who wouldn't? How do you play elite-level basketball when you've got elbows flying at your head and a sideline that feels completely disconnected from reality? At this point, Caitlyn doesn't need a timeout. She needs a sabbatical, or maybe even an exorcist, because what's happening isn't just poor strategy, it's psychological warfare. This league promised to protect and promote its stars. Instead, it's squeezing the life out of the very player who brought the spotlight to its doorstep. They begged for her greatness, but they had no idea how to handle it.
Wait, what'd you say? Wait, what? Did you just tell me that Stephanie White went on an interview tour this whole entire offseason saying exactly that? Did you just tell me Stephanie White went on an interview? So how come when Caitlin Clark has a bad game, this team looks like absolute dog shit? How come when Caitlin Clark isn't busy backpacking this team, it looks like absolute dog shit, coach? Just a question. Just a question. What we saw today, folks, I feel bad for everybody that had to sit through that. Everybody that wasted 2 hours and 25 minutes watching the Indiana Fever versus the Las Vegas Aces. I feel bad that we had to sit through that. That was a tough watch.
And here's the wild part. Caitlin Clark hasn't even hit her sophomore stride yet. This was supposed to be the season, the breakout, the moment where everything clicks and she steps into her full power. Instead, it's like she's been dropped into the Hunger Games with a water gun and a squad of mismatched sidekicks. And while fans are shouting for change, league officials are out here solving Sudoku puzzles with the rulebook. It's almost poetic, tragic in that classic Shakespearean kind of way. A once-in-a-generation star caught in a never-ending loop of bruises, bad calls, and broken plays. Like a remix of Groundhog Day, but with more floor burns. And through it all, Christy Sides keeps cruising through press conferences with that same smug grin, as if she's working off a genius game plan from a parallel universe that no one else has seen. But this isn't strategy, it's slow destruction. Get Caitlyn out now, before she starts second-guessing the instincts that made her unstoppable, before the fire turns to fatigue, before she wakes up and realizes she's not leading a movement. She's stuck in a dumpster fire with a hoop screwed to the wall.
Well, I think you have to look at things a little bit holistically. I think Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her.
Caitlin Clark needs a way out, a lifeline, a parachute, maybe even a time machine, because the longer she's stuck in this emotional spin cycle, the harder it's going to be to pull herself back together. And no, this isn't just about wins and losses. This is about losing herself, her confidence, her identity, her edge, while the league stands on the sidelines and lets it all fall apart. It's honestly mind-blowing. They had cameras rolling and brands lining up the second she went pro, but now they're letting her disappear behind clunky post entries and pointless dribble handoffs like she's some role player on a rebuild roster from 2005. She's not just another player, she's the player. She's the reason people are watching, and yet they're managing her like she's a backup piece in a broken puzzle. Meanwhile, Christy Sides is out here treating the rotation like a Pinterest board, constantly reshuffling lineups with no real direction, taking Caitlin off the ball for most of the game. Like that's going to solve anything? If no one's going to step in and help her, then she's got to help herself, because this isn't just hurting her stat line, it's eating away at her spirit, and truthfully, she deserves more. The fans deserve more. The game deserves more.
Well, I be damned. I be damned. 7 for 20 from the field, 1 for 10 from the three-point line, and look at those turnovers, 8 turnovers. She leads the league in turnovers. But guess what? Her Clarkies are only gonna be impressed, and they're gonna brag about the 19 points and 10 assists. Me personally, I'm all about efficiency. I'm concerned about those last 3, them turnovers, which she leads the league in turnovers. She is shooting horrible from the field. And as far as them three-pointers, in the last 2 games, she's only made 1 three-pointer, and that's the one against the 8.
Unless Indiana finds some backbone, a real game plan, and a coach who can actually tell the difference between motion offense and chaotic flailing, Caitlin Clark needs to start thinking about her exit strategy, because if she stays in this mess much longer, we're not witnessing the rise of a generational superstar. We're watching a legend slowly get buried beneath bad officiating, mismanagement, and Christy Sides' tactical guessing game disguised as coaching. She might be on the court, but she's nowhere near running the show. Caitlin looks like the lead in a dystopian play, except she's never given the mic. Her talent, still there. Her movement, still sharp, but that presence, that magnetic force that once made her the center of the basketball universe, it's fading fast. She's not being developed, she's being dismantled, taken apart piece by piece, like a classic car stripped for scraps in a dimly lit garage. And somehow everyone's acting like this is just part of the rookie journey, like this soul-crushing grind is a rite of passage. Spoiler alert, it's not. This isn't growth. It's a slow, painful drain of everything that made her electric, all neatly packaged in a shiny WNBA logo.
That the Indiana Fever were trying to be that team that runs you off the floor, that hustles. I felt like they were the deepest team. Like, looking at the roster, man, they actually have some players that could run the floor. And I'm just like, dang, bro, it's really crazy to see that they're not really trying to run the floor like I would expect them to. And also using Michaela Timpson. Like, that is some young pair of legs, man. You should be using Michaela Timpson to help you run the floor, play lockdown defense, hustle defense, you know, winning the 50-50 balls. You need young legs to do that.
Yes, she's still suiting up, still taking the floor, but at what price? Every game adds a new bruise, not just on her body, but on her mind and reputation. She's running on fumes and frustration, and it's starting to show. Her smile, strained, her posture, tight, the fire that once lit up arenas, now barely flickering beneath layers of chaos. And the worst part, this isn't just bad luck. It feels intentional. This isn't just about Indiana. This is bigger. It's a league-wide system turning a blind eye while chaos is unleashed on its biggest star, then shrugging like it's all just part of the game. Opponents aren't just defending anymore. They're targeting her. And if you thought it couldn't get uglier, enter Junior Arima, because apparently this mess needed one more blow. Instead of offering wisdom or even basic respect, he launched an unprovoked verbal takedown. No context, no balance, just a smug, condescending wrecking ball aimed at a 22-year-old carrying the weight of a league on her shoulders. This wasn't coaching insight, it wasn't analysis, it was sabotage, loud, reckless, and totally out of pocket. It didn't help, it didn't guide, it just poured more gasoline onto an already toxic fire. And coming from someone who should know better, that's what stings the most.
This is a regular season game. There's no player that's going to be that depressed about a loss. The emotion that she's having right now, that's emotion that you have when you lose a championship. But they didn't lose a championship. So it's only one other thing. It's the coach. I knew something was up, y'all. I played basketball all my life. I played point guard. There was something off about Miss Caitlin when I was watching that Aces game. And I couldn't put my finger on it. It just seemed like Miss Caitlin, she was definitely unmotivated. She looked defeated the whole game. She didn't look like she was having fun. And that is always because of the coach.
Now let's talk about the hate coming from other players. Because this isn't just competition anymore. This is a full-blown showcase in professional jealousy turned violent. They're not just trying to beat Caitlin Clark. They're trying to embarrass her, shoving, elbowing, trash talking like it's amateur hour for every grudge in the league. The fouls aren't even subtle at this point. They're basically part of the game plan. And somehow, this is the behavior the league is letting slide. No one's stepping in, no whistles, no warnings, just TV cameras and ticket sales raking in profits while the league's biggest star gets chopped down in real time. Every day feels like a horror show, a never-ending loop of hostility where the uglier it gets, the more the chaos gets rewarded. While everything Caitlin stands for, grace, skill, leadership, elevation, is being trampled. They don't want her to thrive. They want her to survive, barely, to shrink, to question every move. This isn't about competition anymore. It's about control. And honestly, it's disgusting. Watching this unfold feels like seeing a masterpiece slowly vandalized, spray painted with insults while the crowd cheers. And if you think this is dramatic, ask yourself, why is the league's biggest star also its favorite target? This isn't random. This isn't accidental. This is deliberate sabotage. And it's happening in plain sight.
Reason any professional athlete or any ball player is not having fun on the field because this is the game they love. They've been loving this since they was a kid. Because the only reason a player is not having a good time playing the game that they love is because the coach is trying to put shackles on them, trying to control them too much. With a player like Caitlin, you gotta let them loose. This is something that Steve Kerr had to realize when he was dealing with Steph. Steph was shooting all them logo threes. He was shooting all the shots early in the shot clock. Steve Kerr would shake his head. He'd be like, oh, what are you doing? But after a while, he had to let this player do his thing. Bro, that was the first time I ever seen Caitlin Clark walk the ball down the court. And
we're talking about a player who revived an entire league. Caitlin Clark brought millions of eyes to the WNBA, packed arenas coast to coast, inspired a new generation, and turned casual viewers into die-hard fans. And how did the league repay her? By throwing her straight into the fire. No protection, no support, just a gauntlet of hostility, jealousy, and cheap shots. Because apparently, the WNBA's idea of gratitude is prime-time humiliation on repeat. Yet she keeps going. Battered pride, bruised limbs, she still laces up and steps on the court. But let's be real, this doesn't feel like basketball anymore. It feels like she's stuck inside some twisted reality show. The fouls are bad, sure, but the real damage, it's the emotional roller coaster of being a star in a league that seems to resent your very existence. Every game, she's performing in a theater of chaos, where the rules shift without warning and the people running the show act like she's the villain. And through it all, she's still expected to smile for the cameras, still expected to be the perfect role model, still expected to carry the league's brand, even as that same league lets her get tossed around like she's expendable. This isn't development, it's public sacrifice. And now you can see it in her eyes. That kind of tired no rest can fix, that quiet frustration of someone who's finally realizing doing everything the right way means nothing when the system is built to break you for simply being great.
What? I don't think Stephanie White is like a fan of Caitlin's demon time and, you know, her getting all riled up and pumping up the crowd. I don't think she's a fan of that shit. Some coaches, like, they don't like that shit. For example, when Allen Iverson came into the league, him and Larry Brown did not get along. because Larry Brown used to tell him to tone it down and not be himself and stuff like that. But I think that's what's going on with this team right now. Because when I was watching that game, man, it just did not feel right. Like, she just looked like she was just so sad about playing. It felt like she was being forced to play a certain type of way.
Caitlin Clark didn't sign up for this nightmare. She came here to play high-level basketball, to elevate the game, to inspire. But instead, she's been handed a front-row seat to a full-blown identity crisis. A league so confused, it's using her as both scapegoat and punching bag at the same time. They say adversity builds character, but this isn't character building. It's exploitation. Her pain is profitable. Her struggles make for great headlines. And that's the real horror story, because Caitlin Clark deserves better. Basketball deserves better. And if the WNBA has any real intention of surviving this moment, it needs to stop treating its brightest star like a liability, because if she decides to walk away, and let's be honest, who could blame her? She won't be the only one leaving. The millions of fans who showed up for the Magic, who stayed because they believed in something real, they'll leave too. And when that happens, no amount of PR spin or corporate campaigns will fix it, because the truth will be right there in the open. They didn't just let her fall, they pushed her. With every cheap shot, every missed call, every dismissive glare from the bench. They didn't protect her, they erased her. And when the lights finally go out, it won't be a mystery. They'll realize too late. They snuffed out their own flame.